Hello and welcome back to FlowState. Hope your week has been going phenomenally well. We're on a can't speak today. We are at a new location along the ocean. We are going to go up this mountain over here and we'll see how far we can get. I've actually been here years ago and I didn't remember exactly. A friend told me to come check this out. It's next to the airport in the south. I just finished dropping off some friends. They're going on a family trip and I really don't know where I'm going right now. So you're gonna just follow along and we'll see and figure out as we go. It's rather windy and hopefully the noise cancellation is going to be working. Today, we're going to be talking about identity, the transitions that happen in life, and how we can be more attuned to these vibrations, these frequencies, the potential discontent that exists in between our past self, our current state of, let's say, unease, only to get us closer to where we're looking to go, which is in the future, where we have an idea of what it is that we're looking for, but then because we're not there yet, we feel somewhat disconnected. And I know that in my life, I have had these experiences. They're always correlated to growth because that's what we do here, right? We're focused on closing the gap of where we are currently and where we're looking to go. This is the main focus of the work that I do and why you're here right now, dropping into this conversation. Hopefully taking an active role by engaging in the comments and letting me know in more detail some key things that you'd like to know. So when we're looking to create a new identity for ourselves, we have to kill off our old identity. And this is an interesting concept because there's things that happen throughout that process that require us to feel a certain sense of loss. And sorry, I'm going to just take this moment here for those dropping in on video. We're going to kind of make our way up this ridge here and we'll see where we get and go. Just exploring today. So these airplanes are going to be fucking annoying. All right, I guess I could just walk up here. So on our path, on our journey, we're going to have an end goal in mind, a focus that we hopefully have done the core values work, because with that in mind, we're constantly checking in and grounding ourselves with our values, not necessarily the values that we embody in our today, but how we're looking to embody these values as the catalyst for the new identity, the version of us that we're looking to become. And in understanding that, there's going to be a natural shift from where and what we have been living and how we're showing up in our past life, and really embracing these new values and the process of shifting from where we were to where we're going is going to be a continuous effort, really one of discomfort and unease for a while, until essentially our nervous system has an opportunity to catch up to the work that we've been investing in ourselves in, and lagging indicators become more defined and subtle shifts start to take place. Whew. It's quite something over here. It's kind of a crazy ridge. Okay, I'm gonna focus a little bit. Okay, this is better up here. A little safer. Whew. Super wind. Super windy. All right, I guess we go up. Sorry for that distraction there, just trying to pick a line, stick with it. So, let's think of some real world context in which we can apply or bring awareness to our own journey. And let's get granular and let's see how we can use these examples to bring clarity to some lagging indicators that you may be feeling right now. And the purpose is to couple your consistent actions with this idea of the absence of progress, but understanding that in reality, just because you're not feeling something or seeing progress doesn't mean that it's not happening. So, whew, this is definitely going to be a good test for this mic and its noise cancellation. Hope it's not totally fucked up. So, all right, back to it. Let's say, because I think vitality is something that everybody wants more of. And if you're starting your journey for personal development, the best place to start, first and foremost, is with vitality. Because you need energy in order to attack life head on. You need mental clarity and energy in order to engage in more meaningful thought that is specific to your personal development, not just your physical development, but whole life development. And vitality is the foundation for everything that we do on this channel. Without it, you're essentially starting at a deficit. So let's use this as an example. Let's say you're, man, this is kicking my ass right now. I'm talking about vitality, climbing a mountain against the wind. So starting off, let's say you're looking to get leaner, increase your cardiovascular conditioning, and build muscle. This is going to take time. And if you're just starting, understanding that the process of building muscle takes a long time. It's redefining a lifestyle. And so things that are uncomfortable at first will be transitioning from old habits to trying to instill new ones. A very effective way of doing this is called habit stacking, where you're coupling small habits on top of each other. Just like the growth blueprint, you're compounding every course on top of one another to be able to have deeper and more meaningful progress. Because you can't do one thing without layering on top a solid foundation. So there's going to be a fuckload of resistance that you're going to be fighting up against when you first start this journey. And that's normal. And embracing the suck, understanding that this is what you need to do in order to cross a certain threshold, and just, oh shit. All right. Oh man, it's wild up here. It is windy. So, I really hope that you can still hear me. All right. This whole area is notorious for kiting and windsurfing, any wind sports. This is kind of an intense place to be. Whew. So, understanding before you even start that there's going to be resistance. Resistance is your old identity holding on for dear fucking life to your current state and not letting go. And your thinking brain, the intellectual side of things, who is looking into the future and is choosing a path out of alignment with your old path, is going to be a challenge. But that challenge is growth. The starting line is really the point at which things start to get uncomfortable. And the finish line is in the distance, and it's really never something that you're going to cross over. Really sorry if this is so annoying. The wind is pretty intense right now. You can see the wind farm behind me. So part of this is having a clear roadmap that you can lean on. In other words, removing the idea of motivation as a catalyst for doing something and building a system that you live inside. This is what we do in the growth blueprint, by the way. This is what we are practicing through the various pillars. And this is so vital because you shouldn't have to rely on motivation to take you from point A to point B. Man, oh man. Whew. Sorry, I'm gonna just choose to either, I think I'm gonna turn around because this is kind of out of control up here for the wind. All right. You know, someday this is it. This is just part of the whole, yeah, it's just too windy. All right, this is much better now. Anyway, sorry about this. It is what it is. Maybe we'll walk this way and find another path. So you have a plan in mind. You know where you want to go. You're going to be fighting up against this resistance. And removing the emotional equation from it and leveraging a systematic approach to your growth is a sustainable model for success. Just like getting comfortable at eating in maintenance calories every day versus fluctuating with eating huge amounts and then cutting and feeling like you're throwing your body into some kind of constant guessing game, although can be very beneficial for specific athletic and conditioning goals. As a sustainable model, the idea of just maintaining at a reasonable amount that is teetering on a caloric deficit, but not necessarily, and having a high output of energy is a sustainable thing for not only your body, but your mind. Feeling like you have the energy to do whatever you want, but also not constantly fighting these hunger cravings. So it's the same thing with your personal development, your growth. All right, sorry about that. I just needed to take a photo and pee. So there's a point where lagging indicators become clear indicators of your growth. This is something that we conceptually understand, but often we'll have a hard time relating to because things take so much time. Things take time in the gym. Things take time in terms of leaving your past self behind, mourning it, and then sinking your teeth into your new identity and moving on. This is so important as a concept because so often people will get discouraged by the lack of visible progress or feel discontent and a disconnection, a disassociation of identity in this process. And what we need to understand is that time is a leverageable asset. And when you rely on systems and not an emotional state, things become so easy because they're not based on how you feel. They're based on leveraging a plan that you've already laid out. So feeling this way is natural. Feeling unease, feeling discomfort, feeling the idea of what rejection feels like as it relates to transitioning out of where you have been living mentally and physically to essentially these unknown emotions coupled with a system and a plan that you've laid out very clearly. Because if it gets a little fuzzy, then you know that you have more work to do in order to understand where you're going. This all comes down to doing the work with regards to core values, because this is your compass, your daily compass to lock you into everything that you want to be. And the work that we do inside the Growth Blueprint all starts with vitality and core values. It is the basis for which you can live inside of a system. Without it, things get broken very quickly. So, what are some of the tools on a practical daily basis that we can leverage to ensure that we're not relying on our emotions as a catalyst for taking action, and creating a system that keeps us in alignment with where we're looking to go? So let's start with the first one. How do we not rely on our emotional state to achieve our objective on a daily basis? We start by grounding ourselves every morning with a ceremonial approach to our morning. Now, I don't want to conflate this with other ideas of morning routines and all this, because really your morning starts the night before. So with vitality, the most important aspect of vitality is rest and recovery. If you're not sleeping well, you're gonna wake up feeling like shit. Everybody's been there. Sleep is the most important thing to get right in all of life. So much confusion within our mind can be resolved by a good night's sleep. So we start the night before getting locked into an evening routine that supports our morning with clear action. Defining this is extremely important. And I'm not going to go into the nuance about how to do all of these steps, because this is something that you'll find in the Growth Blueprint, but I'm using this as an opportunity to demonstrate a leverageable system that you can create for yourself so that you can really live into the system, okay? Because it's a system that's going to set you free. It's not a dependency on emotions and whether you feel good about doing an action or whether the weather is appropriate for that action to take place. It's the process of reclaiming your power through intention, not emotion. This all starts with a solid foundation of a night routine that is the springboard for your morning. That is the springboard for entering into your core values practice, which is a daily practice of grounding yourself in intention and purpose to be able to understand how your actions will line up throughout the day. It's so vital to get clear on this, because It's happening whether you choose your values or not. Everybody lives by core values. Some people are completely unaware of the values that they're living by. There could be, it's like pre-programming from your parents, their parents, your socioeconomic situation, your religious background, if that's a factor, or maybe the lack of one, the structure that you find yourself in, which stage of life you're currently in, whether you're 30 years old, 18, 62, whatever. These are all factors that play heavily in your daily actions. Staying grounded within your core value system is really a catalyst for everything that comes after it. The way you choose to show up is grounded in the work that you've done with your core values to have a correlated impact on the trajectory of your life. Because if you're not choosing, it's being chosen for you. If you're not choosing your values are being chosen for you. And why leave that up to chance? Why leave something so fundamental up to chance? You want to reclaim your power by grounding yourself in a certain mindset and principles that is the catalyst for every action you take, every moment of every day, indifferent of how you feel, right? We're looking to separate our emotional state from the catalyst for taking action. Your emotions should be leveraged in nuance, in high-level decision-making, but not as the catalyst for taking action. These are only grounds for leveraging within resistance. I don't feel like doing this, so I'm not going to do it. Wrong. This is a kind of like new age bullshit way of thinking that has nothing to do with making progress. And if we rely too much on our emotional state for taking action, things will take way fucking longer than they should. And oftentimes, those emotional states vanish as soon as we do take action. Like, for example, I don't feel like doing X at this moment, but I know that X needs to happen. The fastest way for you to not feel the way you do about doing the task is by literally doing the fucking task. And within 10 minutes, everything changes. So how do we close the gap more effectively to remove this idea of relying on your emotions to take action? It's all about the system that you have in place. It's about a system that removes this dependency on how one feels and is set up in such a way to structure your day with integrity, with power, with a grounding force, all around your core values. Again, the work that we do in the Growth Blueprint is setting you up for this successful transition from scattered to dialed in. And it's not to say that, like, okay, I can already hear people saying, well, you know, what about spontaneity and all this kind of, all of this exists within this system. It's not a limiting structure. It's an amplifying structure, one that allows you to be more aligned with your purpose and making choices in a vertically integrated way that leverages your understanding of how to use time, your aligned goals, all grounded in the way that you're looking to show up. It's not just like a big reaction to a bunch of shit. It's being more methodical in your thinking and aligning those patterns of behavior with your actions. Most people are not making progress in their life because they're continuously stuck in negative patterns that are not in alignment with where they're looking to go. And once you get clear on understanding patterns, you can then align your desires, right, grounded with your core values. This is all foundational work that then is the catalyst for taking action. So this is vital in being able to achieve your personal health-related goals, vitality, so that you can feel energized and attack the day through structure and not feel completely depleted by 11 a.m. because you've been distracted by things that are beyond your control until you consciously shift your attention to the things that are within your control. This is everything, because patterns that don't have a positive impact on you will keep showing up in your life because you're allowing these things to dominate your choices and actions as opposed to the other way around. A great example of this, and I was speaking to someone yesterday about it, is how much your phone and computer is essentially pre-filled to distract you through notifications, through messaging apps, and not leveraging systems to ensure that these things don't interrupt your flow, as opposed to then them being preloaded to distract you, is a massive shift in consciousness. It is really the difference between push notifications and on-demand accessing of those notifications. So one of the things that you can do today, right now in this moment, is to turn off all notifications other than vital communication notifications. And this is so important. Your devices should be an extension of the things that you want to do, not the other way around. You are not an extension of your device. Rethink this way of using technology as master-slave. You are the master in this situation. You are not the slave to the device. And if you are, this one shift can have a profound impact on how you show up, how you interact with the world. You know, I realize I'm going in a circle. All right, well, the wind seems much better on this side anyways. Great. So, I also use iOS, and within iOS you have focus settings. So do not disturb as just one basic one, and you can customize them to do whatever you want. So with my work schedule, when I work, I toggle on work focus, or you can have it set automatically depending on your preference, and there are no notifications. Already I have everything turned off, but this turns off everything, including communication notifications. Hola. Hola. This is a massive empowerment system, because if you've set it up properly, as soon as you turn it on, you're going to be restricting notifications to appear that only serve as a distraction from the focused work that you're doing in that time block. And if you don't have this turned on, all it takes is a millisecond, and then you're distracted by something that is not important to the task at hand. And because of this distraction, it actually takes your brain considerable amount of time and compute power to refocus your energy and to tap back into flow. So by minimizing any distraction that doesn't directly amplify the work that you're doing, right? There are certain realities of office culture and work that require you to have certain messaging apps on, and you need to then understand what is relevant to the task at hand, the time block that you've allocated for what, and maybe you have dependencies, right? And so in order for you to do the work, you need to be in communication with certain people. So this is where things get a little tricky, because you're relying on, again, your discipline, which can either be good or moderate or weak. And you can't mute, to my understanding, there's no way of muting groups of people within Slack and only allow the people that you need to communicate with during certain periods of time in an effective way that's somewhat automated, right? Because the whole purpose of a system that works is that it takes some time to create the system, but then once it's built, all you do is toggle it on and off to be able to ensure that you're locked in for whatever the environment requires. Another version of a system would be to leave your phone in the car when you go on a hike, like I'm doing now, but for this intended purpose, I have what I need with me for it, but I'm not distracted by my phone while I'm supposed to be removing myself from technology for this 1 hour period of time. Because if you have it on you and you get a notification, it's so easy to just dip into that. Our system is only as good as its inability to block out the noise and to lock us in, right? If we have a system that it's like, let's say you have a bucket and you're trying to move water from one vessel to another, and your bucket that you're using has a bunch of holes in it. That's not a very good system. That's a leaky fucking system. That's not going to give you the optimal performance that you're looking for. So you have to fix the system. You go out and you get a bucket with no holes. There you go. It took a little effort, took some resources, took some time to get a new bucket, but then when you attack the task, your system is solid, it's grounded. There are no holes, there are no distractions. It's just you and that fucking bucket, and you fill it up. This is just an example, right? It's the same thing when you're getting to work. Toggle on focus. Customize it to support your intention. I have multiple focus settings and pre-programs on my Apple devices. I have one for social media, I have one for health and wellness, I have a morning one, I have an evening one. Everything gets dialed in, and I've invested a lot of time into building these systems because I know that once they're done, they serve me intentionally. And I've automated them so that they trigger at certain times of the day. For example, my evening one triggers at a specific time because I'm locking in to my evening routine because it's really the catalyst for a lot of variables that I want in my control. Same thing in the morning. I have a morning focus that turns on automatically. So the first thing I see on my phone is not a bunch of notifications, not social media, but intentional apps that I want to see first thing in the morning. So I have weather, I have Audible, so I can drop into an audiobook that I'm listening to in this moment. I have a shortcut to my notes app, which has my core values already laid out. I have a shortcut to a Spotify playlist that has essentially a morning meditation sequence, and that's it. Oh, sorry. I also have a Duolingo shortcut because I do that first thing in the morning. So I go through my system because it serves me well, and it serves my intention based on the work that I've done to establish my core values. Woo. Pretty cool here. We're back in the wind. And I guess I can... Sorry. So it's not a question of, oh, I woke up feeling less than stellar, and so because of that, I'm not going to go and initiate my system. It's that it's already preloaded so that every day when I wake up, my phone looks a certain way, and then it's an auto response system that then focuses my attention on the things that I've pre-selected as the most important in that moment. So it's also true for my supplements in the morning, the water that I have set out, everything. I make it as frictionless as possible so that I'm not fighting against my emotions. I am channeling them in a very specific way to be able to leverage, again, the system that I've built. This is really important because I don't need to feel a certain way in order to do a series of tasks that I know are serving my interests and the world and my family. Because I approach every morning not with the way I feel, but understanding that I'm grounding myself in something bigger than your emotional state, right? I'm attaching my actions to a higher purpose, all coming back to core values and aligned action and goals grounded in my core values. It all comes down to core values. But if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the bandwidth to make this identity shift, it really comes down to not having a clear system that is leverageable to ensure that vitality is the thing that propels you forward. And as we discussed earlier, it's about understanding not only training and expenditure of energy, but how to reclaim that energy as well. Rest, recovery, these are massively important things. Without them, it's just an uphill battle that we never really fully recover from. And that's a missed opportunity to reclaim more power and effort to be able to pay forward with. Hola. Hola. All right, going back up. It's an interesting area here. I found some cool beaches. Have to check out with the kids, maybe on a calm day, less wind. So, taking action is the best way to alleviate and change our state, our mental state. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say this is an easy thing to do, which it isn't at first. It becomes increasingly easier over time, just like anything that you do on a regular basis. Being in alignment is the mental exercise to get locked in on. And there are unintended consequences to this at first. For example, if you're really locked in and you're at the beginning phase of this growth period, this is when I'm of the mind that you shouldn't deviate at all. That the effort required to stay locked into your system is the catalyst for your sustained growth. There are moments after you've invested in yourself where you can consciously deviate from things because you've been locked in and you've seen the growth, you've felt the growth, you're no longer living in the way that you were, and you've settled in. You can, of course, change your rigidity to be able to be more spontaneous, to be tapping into other opportunities that really, in order to get locked in before, you needed to say no to. So this is going to be different for everybody, but it really does require killing off a lot of the things in your life that you have then deemed a distraction to you actualizing your growth. And this is the work that we do in the blueprint. This is the work that we support each other with, because it's not always so obvious. Things that are so ingrained in our daily actions, feel so natural to us, and habits that have been a part of our various routines at different stages of the day are very difficult to shake loose and to break free of if we don't have proper support. I know this because I did this on my own without the support. And I was really committed, and I locked in for years without deviating because I knew deep down that I wanted this change. And I was willing to sacrifice other things in my life until I reclaimed my power and no longer used that word sacrifice. I wasn't killing off anything after. I was leveraging the path that I laid out and the choices, conscious choices, to be able to continue in a structured way that's in alignment with my values and my aligned action and goals. It was grueling at first, uncomfortable, painful. It was a complicated time mentally because you are, how do I, sorry, make my way back down here. It was a complicated time mentally because you begin to question everything, your actions, your judgment. You start leveraging your current life situation to be, whew. It's like temptation. Temptation is everywhere when you're in this stage because you're at the beginning. Things are unfamiliar, they're difficult. And, humans tend to default to easy. And the more you can disassociate these emotions and actions, the stronger your muscle will be to be able to constantly choose difficult things. And it takes time for those actions to catch up to your nervous system and your brain. But when it does, it's almost like a light switch has been turned on. You've reached level 2 within inside your brain. And these choices become more automatic, with less friction, with less resistance than they used to be. And this part of you that you've been holding on to subconsciously over time erodes into oblivion, where you look at food options differently, where you allocate time differently, you're prioritizing things differently in alignment with all of these what used to be lagging indicators of growth now become more apparent and directional and more obvious to continuous alignment. And we will deviate sometimes, but it's how quickly can we reclaim our power and our conscious mind as an intentional catalyst for the next action we take. Because you're going to take an action no matter what. That's all we do every day is take action. But is it conscious or is it unconscious? presence is your superpower. Leverage presence as much as possible, and things have the capacity of slowing down in a way that it's like that movie Limitless, you know, where the guy takes the pill and time just slows down. You have that in you. You have that power. It's within all of us to be able to choose a path that is in alignment with where we're looking to go, with intention, not as a reaction, not as a distraction, not as a off sync, out of alignment series of tasks and a mindset that constricts our thinking and makes us small. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out how to navigate this cliff here. And resistance is an interesting thing. It's a profound attachment that we have to our old self, and really it's another form of procrastination. It's another mechanism that we leverage to distract ourselves from taking action. And so what I find interesting about procrastination is that it delays the ability for us to create the output that we're looking to create, but at the same time captures our mind in that. And so not only are we delaying the output, but meanwhile we're preoccupied by thinking about it the entire time up until we take action. Is this a relatable idea? Whoa. Woo. So in other words, again, let's just use this extremely basic example, analogy here. You've just had a meal, dishes are in the sink, you know, you've had some time to just chill out for a minute. And so, sorry, I just thought I saw a friend. No. So you've had a meal, you've had some time to chill out, feeling good, digested and everything, and the sink is full of dishes. And you're like, okay, I'll do it later. And so you walk by the sink, and every time you walk by, you're like, because you're going from like the living room to the, you know, whatever it is, I don't know, whatever. And every time you walk by, you think you're reminded of the fact that you need to do the dishes because no one else is going to do them. So you're going to do them. But maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe you feel like, oh no, I'll just do it later. But meanwhile, you're thinking about it. And then maybe something else comes up. And it requires you to walk back through the kitchen and you see these dishes again. And instead of taking action, you just think about it and you're like procrastinating the inevitable. But meanwhile, you're like distracted by the fact that you have to do these dishes. You're thinking about doing them, but you're not actually taking action and doing the fucking dishes. So not only has it taken you, not only has it taken you way longer to do something that you know needs to be done, but your brain has been thinking about doing the thing the whole fucking time. So it's like doing the thing twice without actually doing the work. You're just thinking about it. Now, apply this to a bunch of other shit in your life. Responding to emails, or having a hard conversation, or taking the trash out, or, you know, going to the gym, or whatever it is, cleaning the garage. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is out of alignment, low vibrational constipation, which is why people feel so fucking overwhelmed all the time. It's because there's a million things to do, never enough time to do it. Things are not being prioritized in a way that is in alignment with your objectives in life. Waking up in the morning, being scattered, feeling disjointed. This idea of anxiety then creeps in, not in the way that I define it here for everyone, but in the traditional sense of overwhelm and the inability to process your thinking in a way that supports you taking action. This way, I guess. Okay. I guess I go down this way. All right, sorry about this gap. Oof, this sand is not your friend with the wind. Okay, made it. All right, the car's over there. Whew. It's kind of rock and roll. Flow state, I love it. Hopefully the audio is not fucked up. Hopefully when I get back, we'll be publishing this episode. Whew. That's it for today. Thank you so much for dropping in. Please leave a comment. Tell me where you're from. Let me know how your journey is going. If there's anything that I can address in the comments directly, if there's something like a topic that you'd like discussed next week, I'm here to support in the best way that I can to be able to amplify the human experience for you. This is what we do. We close the gap. Check the show notes for the link to the school community. All the other social media links are there as well. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.